We're in chapter 2, verse 18. Now this is one of the most famous verses of when it comes to creation, and specifically the creation of he and she. The verse says as follows, Vayomer Elohim, lo tov hiyot ha'adam levado, e'aseh lo ezer kenegdo. God says, it's better that Adam is not alone. It's better that he has ezer, a helper, kenegdo, against him. What does that mean? A helper against him? Talmud tells us that if a person is zocheh, if a person has the merit, and merit doesn't come through segulot, and merit does not come through mazal. You know how merit comes? Hard work. Hard work, there is merit and there is reward. The Talmud tells us, zacha, if a person is meritus, ezer, she is your helper, and he is your helper. Lo zacha, no merit. Why is there no merit? You're not working hard enough. Kenegdo, lo alenu, he is or she is against you. This is the remedies. These are the ingredients of what a marriage is about. Why is this the most important? Because we're going to the source now. We're going to the source when mankind, when humanity, when he was created, when she was created. This is the source, and this is how it will be forever. Today we stand 5,779 years ago, Adam was born. That was, like we said, towards the end of the 6th day of creation. We're the same human being. Maybe we're wearing different clothes. We're living in a different type of house, right? They used to live in tiki huts. Now we're living in real houses. We used to travel by ships and cruise lines across the Atlantic. Now we have planes, but we're the same human being. We still have 2 eyes. We still have 2 hands. We still have the husband and the wife in every single relationship. So this is everlasting. Parashat Bereshit specifically, and the whole Torah, but specifically Parashat Bereshit, is an everlasting learning for the way human beings react, and as a couple, and as a husband and a wife. I want to read another pasuk. Pasuk in chapter 2, verses 21 and 22. Vayapel, and this is for some the most exciting part of the creation of Adam. Vayapel Adonai Elohim tardema la'adam. Vayishan. God put a heavy cloud, so to say, of exhaustion over Adam, and he fell asleep. What did God do? God was the first operator. He was the first one to make an operation. He was the greatest doctor, the greatest surgeon, obviously. So what did he do? He started operating on Adam. He took one of Adam's ribs and he closed the flesh back. After taking the rib, what he did was he took this rib and he created a new being. He created a woman. And then he brought her to Adam. I want to share one of the most fascinating midrashim I've ever learned in my life. Now, this midrash can be twisted and interpreted in many different ways, and by no means is this midrash meant to insult whether it's man or whether it's woman, because the lessons that it speaks about applies to both. And listen to what it says. The midrash says, come and see the greatness of God and how he planned out how to create Chava. He said, from what body part am I going to create her? The midrash says, if I create her from her head, let's say I take a piece of Adam's head and I create Eve from Adam's head, then she might be too haughty and too arrogant. That's the head. So God says, not from the head. Then he says, maybe I'm going to take one of Adam's eyes and create Chava from Adam's eye. Midrash says, Hashem said, no, that's not good, because then she's going to be too curious to want to see everything there is to see. Next, minapeh, from the mouth. God said, maybe let's take one of the lips. There's two lips. Let's take one of the lips of Adam and create Chava from Adam's lips. She said, no. Then she's going to what, ladies? Talk too much. So the Midrash says, no, not from the mouth. Mina ozen, maybe take one of Adam's ears. Look, he has two ears. He said, no. Then she's going to be too curious to want to listen to everything. Mina yadayim, maybe from one of his hands, take a piece of his hand, one of his hands, a bone from his hand. Hashem said, no. Then she's going to want to steal everything she sees. Do bad things with her hand. Listen to this.
It sounds like my wife.
Mina raglaim. So maybe one of his legs, a piece of his leg. Midrash said, Hashem said, no, not from the legs. Because then she is going to be one who's always running and running out and out in the open and all over the place. So you know what God did? I want to quote to you. Bira'a min hatzela min makom tsanua. Out of all the body parts, what body part could theoretically be removed and no one would notice the difference? Chas v'shalom, if one of the fingers were gone, or a toe, or an ear, or an eye, or a lip, or anything else, that's all noticeable. You know what God did? And this is the power of a woman. So even though maybe the Midrash was a little amusing at the beginning, but you're going to see at the end it gives it one knockout. But after all of that, you know what the power of a woman is? Her tziniut, her dignity. She was taken from a dignified place. A place where no one would even know was missing from Adam. It was a rib, for crying out loud. I don't even know how many ribs do we have. Any doctors in the room? No, only businessmen. Okay, good.
That's young Israel.
Right. But specifically, what? 14? Okay, there we go. We have an educated doctor in the room. A mother. Every mother's a doctor, by the way. So one rib was missing. God said, I'm going to take from that. You know what? Because you know what the woman's power is? You know what her position is? And contrary to, a woman has to be at home, lock her up at home. That's not what it means. You want to know where the woman is the strongest? It's when the man's out in the field. He's hunting. He's fulfilling his curse of the sweat of his brow. He's going to bring home food. It's when she's home and she's strong and she raises the kids. That's a strong woman. But you know what? That's not popular because no one sees that. No one knows. So that's why there are all these theories and these movements nowadays. But for over 5,000 years, the Torah knew the best way how to do it. It's not in the fame and it's not in the spotlight. You want to know a secret? That's for the men. It's to go out, it's to make money, it's to be politicians, to be famous. Women, their bracha, your bracha as a man, the children's bracha is when she's at home and she's raising those kids. She's building, as Chachamim say, the Bet HaMikdash HaPnimi, the temple inside each and every one of our children. So it's not for naught that God chose a rib. But you want to know how the Midrash ends? And this could be insulting on both sides. The Midrash says, even though, I want to read it so you don't say Rabbi Laredo made it up. I'm going to say it. I'm going to read it here. Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Shalom, or some say Rabbi Laredo. Vizo she'amarnu. Sorry, he had one more. Sorry, it's back here. Where did it go? I can't find it here. Anyways, he says over here, now you're really going to say I made it up. He says, even though, the Midrash says, I'll get it out. V'afal pichen, and even though she wasn't created from any of those body parts, rather from only the rib, lo yatzeu yedehen me'elu hamumin. She still is not freed from any of those bad character traits. Right? But I take this Midrash and I say it's not only for women, it's for men too. The reason why God, see, a man had to be created from dust. from earth, from nothingness. At least a woman is created from a rib. And either way, even though she was created from a rib, and either way, man was created from dust and from the earth, a human being is still not free from all of these, from curiosity of seeing, curiosity of hearing, speaking, stealing, running to bad. All of these things, meaning that we need to be on guard. But that, in our creation, is already one of the biggest differences. Again, because man was created from dust, from earth, and woman was created from a bone, from a rib, but from something which is tsanua, which is dignified. There's two more parts. The next is something which many take to be amusing, but it's a very serious concept. The Torah in Perek 2, chapter 2, verse 24 says, Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv ve'et imo. Therefore a man, and this is the man specifically, it applies to the woman, but it's more important for the man. The man needs to leave his father and his mother. And we'll explain what that means. V'davak be'ishto, and he has to stick. How do you say glue in Hebrew? Devek. Stick. To his wife. V'hayu lebasar echad. To be back one body. And that is what our goal is to be. We are born, we spend 18 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Some people it takes a long time to find their zivug. Separate human beings. But we're supposed to merge and join. And when that happens, we need to leave our family. What does it mean to leave our family? It doesn't mean to disrespect our family. But it means putting your wife first, before your parents, before your brothers, before your friends. It means putting your husband before your parents, before your siblings, before your friends. That's what davak means. If there's something, it has to be both sides. But the Torah says it specifically to the man. Because it's harder for a man. You know why? Because a woman is always more committed to her husband. You know why? She's part of him. She's from his rib. He's independent, so to say. But the Torah says your wife will be committed. And if she might not be, doesn't matter. You commit yourself to her, she'll be committed to you. That means don't say, my mother used to make it this way. And this used to be that way. And this is how I grew up. One day you'll be like my mother. That's a recipe for disaster. You want to know a recipe for success? You're better than my mother. This tastes better than the way my mother made it. My mother never made it like this for me. And you want to know something? Even if at the beginning it's not true, if you keep on saying it, two things will happen. She will fill into that position, and you will believe it, whether it's true or not. And that's more important than anything, because that brings the bond. We have to remember to always put our spouses first. Before anybody, before anything, and most important, before family. And by the way, that's how your parents and that's how your siblings will respect you. When they see that you and your wife, or that you and your husband are unshakable, you're one person, then they can't play games anymore with you. But if they see you guys are limboing a little bit, you guys are nagging each other, you guys are bickering, especially in public, oh, they're going to have a party with that. But if you guys are one solid pillar, basar echad, one person, one spine, then nothing can waver a person from place to place. And I'm going to give us our final lesson. And if all of this wasn't worth it for coming for, this final one is the most important. The Torah tells us that Adam was awarded an amazing gift. You know what his gift was? God told him that he, Adam the first, is going to name each and every creature that God created. That's an amazing gift. The reason why we call a lion an aryeh in Hebrew is because Adam called it that. And every single language, in every single animal, Adam was the one who named that creation. But now look at this. Adam also named his wife. I want to read you the verse. Chapter 3, verse 20. Vaikra ha'adam shem ishto Hava. Adam calls the name of his wife Chava. Ki hi haita em kol chai, because she was the mother of all living beings. And the Mefarshim say, you know what Chava means? Chava means haya. It means life. I want to ask the most basic question to each and every one of us. Can you imagine what just happened? Adam was fed from the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit. From who? Whose fault is it always? The wife's, in this case. For the woman, whose fault is it? It's always the man's. It's the snake's fault, it's this one's fault, it doesn't matter. But one thing is for certain, that the two of them were now punished for the rest of their existence and for their descendants' existence. Horrible. Curses for him, curses for her, curses for the snake. It was nonstop. You know what Adam does when he comes home after that amazing day? He calls his wife life. You know what she did? She actually brought death to the world. Because of her, he's going to die. She's going to die. Their kids are going to die. Eze Chacham, he comes home and he says, my love, you're my life. Your new name is life. Ribono shel olam. I know for Shalom Bayit issues. Yeah? We're on camera, be careful.
I'm not sure.
I know for Shalom Bayit issues, it would not be a good idea, but I'm saying, maybe call her death, because that's what she brought along. I got a better one. Maybe call her doom. That's what she brought along. Or call her something parv, not meat, not milk. Call her something parv. Call her Chaim Sheli, or I don't know. No, that's too much already. Something, anything. Out of everything to the extremity, life. It's too sticking out. It's too much for us to wrap our heads around out of anything. It's the worst day they will ever have in their lives. And he calls her life, mother of all living creatures. Others would have said, I'm not going to say.
He's smart. He still has to go on.
Very
Happy
good.
wife is a happy life.
Very
The best
good.
life.
So listen to what the Talmud tells us. The Talmud tells us that the Torah starts with chesed, loving kindness, and it ends with chesed. It ends with loving kindness. The end is pretty easy. You know what the end is? It's God showing and displaying chesed to Moshe Rabbeinu by burying him himself. God himself buries Moses. That's chesed. But the Talmud says, what? In the beginning of the Torah, what is classified as the first act of chesed? You know what the Talmud says? When God gives Adam and Eve clothing after they realize that they are bare. After Adam and Eve realized that they are naked and they were embarrassed, God made them clothing. That is the first act of chesed in our Torah. Now, logically speaking, we would think, 1 second, God creating the world would be the first act of chesed. Or even God creating mankind might be the first act of chesed. Giving the Garden of Eden to Adam and Eve should be the first act of chesed. No, Talmud says, skip a couple hours. It was when he clothed Adam and Eve. And why? What does that mean? Listen to an amazing interpretation. From the altar of Kelem, he says, can you imagine someone comes to you and tells you, I want you to host somebody. Host them for Shabbat. Host them for the whole holiday, 7 days. So what's your first question back? Who is it? What if I would tell you it's a VIP? It's an executive. It's a famous person. To each our own. Could be a great Torah scholar, a leader of the generation, to some a politician, to others a sports player, a singer, lo alenu, to each our own. Now, hey, of course I want to host them. Welcome. Stay all week, stay all month, no problem. My wife will cook every day. Right? We're offering for our wives. Okay. Ma? Okay. Is that called chesed?
No.
Asi's on the ball. Asi, why can't you come sit here with me?
Asi, אתה חזק.
It's not chesed. It's to taking the people from the street.
So you know what it says? The altar of Kelem says it's still chesed, but it's watered down. Like you said. You know what real chesed is? Real chesed is when you bring the nebach in, the miskin. When you bring in the one who maybe he's here, he's out of town, he's collecting funds. Lo alenu, poor guy, for a sickness, for a family member. Maybe he's annoying. Maybe he snores when he sleeps.
Yes.
That's real chesed.
Yes. Rabbi.
That is real chesed. You know what? When you're going to bring the VIP home for Shabbat or for the Chag or for the month or the 2 months at Asi's house,
They are not coming.
if they come, let's say they come, you're going to do it with open arms because you're going to tell your grandchildren and your great-children, you know who was by my house for a week or more. It's a watered-down chesed. So God, says the altar of Kelem, when God created the world, of course it was chesed, but it was an easy chesed. It was a nice chesed. It was letiv, to do good for the world. Even when he created Adam, it was a good chesed. It was an easy chesed. You know it was hard chesed when God forgave them for the worst thing they ever did. They ruined God's plan. And you know what God said? No problem. You know, the original rule was if they eat from the tree of knowledge, kaput, death. But God said, you know what? I'll forgive you. I'll give you another chance. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to make it up. It's going to take 6,000 years to make it up. But I'll give it to you. I'll also clothe you. I'll clothe you as a sign, a bond that I forgave you. You know what Adam did? After the worst day of his life, it's like he woke up that morning, a couple hours in, he has a beautiful wife, he names all of the creatures of the world, messed up. He comes home, he's like, this has been the worst day in the world. It's my first day and the worst day ever. He comes home and he says, honey, your name is life. Your name is mother of all creatures. You know what he did? Hashem took the lead. Positivity. We'll give you life. We'll give you another chance. Adam said, I'm going to follow God's lead. I'm going to follow that chesed. Chesed that gorem more chesed. And he said, I'm going to call her life. Because you know what? There's nothing to do about it now. And she is and will be forever the mother of my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and all descendants. If I call her death, if I call her doom, she'll be depressed and deathly and doomed forever. So he labeled her the complete opposite, labeled her life. And that's how the world continued. This is a tremendous lesson for each and every one of us. This is for sure from man to woman, but it's also from woman back to man. If you call your husband a success, he will be successful. If you call him a loser, he will be a loser. If you tell him he's strong, if you tell him he's smart, even if it's not true, it will become a reality. If you tell your children that they are strong and tall and smart, two people, they're midgets. If you keep on telling your children you're midgets, they're always going to be small, physically and spiritually and emotionally. If you tell your children you're tall, you tell them you're strong, you tell them you're smart, you tell them you're successful, you tell them you can do it, they will do it. And if you do the opposite, not. And this we learn from Adam Harishon. The Talmud tells us there's conflicting verses, conflicting sources of if a woman is good or not. There's one verse that says, Matzah Isha, Matzah Tov. You found a woman, you're married, you found greatness, you found good, you found life. There's another pasuk that says, I have found nothing more bitter than death than a woman. Those are two verses. So is a woman good or bad? Talmud says, Mefarshim explain, yes, Ezer Kenegdo. Is it Ezer? Or is it Kenegdo? As we explained, is she a helper, is she against? But better, it's all in the tense. It's all in the tense. Matzah Isha, Matzah Tov is in the past. When the second pasuk says, it's by the way, they're not right next to each other, they're separate places. The second pasuk says, I have found nothing worse than death rather than a woman. That's one's in Mishle and one's in Kohelet. Yeah? Mishle and Kohelet. No, in the Nevi'im. The Nevi'im. Yeah. So, what does that mean? I found nothing better than a woman. That's in the past. When it's present, it's horrible. That's what Talmud answers. What does that mean? Chamim tell us. If you are living in the present, if right now you're analyzing what's in front of you, it could be very nasty, it could be very negative. Something bad happened, it's bad. It's black, it's dark, it's no good. But if you're living in the past in a good way, if you're able to project all of the good times you've spent together, all of the building you've spent together in the past, project that on now, then even if something didn't go good, he came home late, didn't say the truth, didn't do what he said he was going to do, she cooked something not so good, it's fine. Because she has good merit with me. He has good merit with me. There's been years, decades of good. So in the past, when you take all the good from the past, you project that on now, everything's good. But if you're scrutinizing every little thing right then and there, everything's nasty, everything's no good, everything's negative. Chamim tell us, Ezer or Kenegdo. She will either be your helper or she'll be against you. She will only be your helper if you allow her to help you and if you inspire her to help you. Adam inspired his wife to help him. He called her life. I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest chidushim I've ever heard. You call your wife life after she brings death to you and to everybody else? It's crazy. But he overcame it. And he said, she is life. She is my life. She is the mother of all creatures. He adopted her as an ezer, as a helper, instead of kenegdo. Sometimes in life we find ourselves. Sometimes it's help, sometimes it's against. It's healthy, it's fine. But in a direction, as a accomplishment, as a decision that we want to make for ourselves as a married couple, is we want to help each other. We're two hands to the same body. It doesn't make sense that one hand's building and one hand's destroying. And therefore, as a couple, we need to tavak, to be basar echad, to stick, to be one person, unshakable, back to creation. We were created as one, we were separated, I was born to this family, she was born to this family, we reunited, we became back one, and we have a goal, and we work together. That is the most important. Now, it's easier said than done, but the point of the Torah is to inspire us, is to see the lessons the Chachamim tell us, that we learn from the Psukim, to inspire us to want to be one, to want to be together, to want to be helping each other, to want to be positive. Try to remember, never call your child bad. Never call your wife bad, never call your husband bad. You know what's acceptable? That what they did was something bad. Because then you're labeling their action, which is fine and sometimes necessary for growth and for perfection. But never label the person bad. That's rule number one as a teacher, right? It's never a bad student, a bad child. They did something wrong. They did something bad. Your husband's never bad. Your wife is never bad. Your children are never bad. Your student's never bad. Your teacher's never bad. People make mistakes. People do even bad things. But that's okay. If you tell a successful person, if you tell a person, you're successful, you're great, you did something wrong, let's fix it together, it's a whole other outlook than coming down on someone. Never mind your spouse. So let's remember this, to bring positivity home. To call your wife my life. To call your husband my life. Haim sheli, neshama sheli, everything. That is the way for success. Great, positive communication. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us to be united as the way we were in our creation, as man and woman, and strong with one goal, and to be stuck together to have beautiful families, successful families, great businesses, because the business also depends on the wife. Completely on the wife. More on the wife than on the husband. The work, the job, the deal. If the wife's happy, if the wife's your ezer, everything works. If she's kenegdo, she's keneged your parnasa also. So take her on. Take her on for your sake, for her sake, for the kids' sake, for Klal Yisrael's sake. Amen ve'amen. We want to end off by giving one more bracha to our host and our hostess, that we bless them to always be strong together, to always be strong with the children, successful with the children, successful with the family, and to always be here with our community, strong, united, and successful.